for Laureano, and he home runs it, and the Mets win the ball game.
Episode 56 of The Burrows. Kevin Bunk, Michael Merlo, and Jack Lydon joining us. Jack, a resident Red Sox fan for us, and I don't even know how to start this because I have just been sitting here saying all day, not only did the Yankees ruin Father's Day, did the Yankees ruin everything by letting the Red Sox back into this race, giving them some life, and a few hours later, after the Yankees revived the Red Sox, they trade Rafael Devers. Jack, I'll let you have the floor here. What the hell is going on? Or not. Jack does not have the floor here. Mike,
good job,
Can
Jack.
you hear me? Can you hear me?
now. You got us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just about as shocked as you. I had burgers on the grill. I was potatoes in the air fryer. I was really excited to enjoy this. Sorry, I'm just muting my computer. Enjoying this Father's Day, and listen, to be honest with you, like I was thinking earlier today, I was like, I can't believe it. Kevin, I think I texted you this. I just want the Red Sox to be relevant this summer. That's all I really wanted. And I'm not saying that that's over. I'm just, listen, like I'm still trying to process this as it unfolds here and as we get the full details of the trade. But the optics of it are this: over the last 5 years, they have traded Mookie Betts. They've let Xander Bogaerts go in free agency when he was willing to take a team-friendly deal while he was under contract. And now they just traded Rafael Devers. The fan base was split in February when he took the stand in Fort Myers and he said, I'm a third baseman and I'm not moving to DH. Then he moved to DH. He started 0 for whatever, 0 for the series against Texas. And then he finally got going against Baltimore. And he's been one of, if not the number 2 best hitter in the American League since then. And the Red Sox just traded him. Like I said, you could go into the details of the report by Robert Murray, the first one that broke to the Giants. You could go into the reasons why and the financial reasons, which are beyond me, or the need for pitching. But the optics are the 3 best players for the Boston Red Sox over the last 5 years have been let go by the team by malpractice by the front office.
It's different front offices, and it felt fake. It literally felt fake when you get that message across the screen. Like, it literally feels fake. And I feel for you because I don't think my team has ever done this, or any of my teams have ever really done this in this kind of situation. So I don't know how you're supposed to respond. I don't know how you're supposed to act. But
so go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I know. I just like you sweep the Yankees. You're 5-1 against the Yankees. You're starting to feel some, positivity about this club now. And now what? Like, I think my sense would be this is done. Because the package isn't even great. The package they got back is not a good package.
This is my feeling on the situation. Kevin, I know you have some thoughts. Obviously, it's your show. I'm going to let you get to them.
Yeah, it's my show.
Just like Batter's Box 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Listen, they have to believe, and I'm not saying that this is the right frame of mind in terms of your thought process. They have to think Roman Anthony is Barry Bonds. They have to think that. Because this weekend, I mean, Kevin, you saw the reports going into the weekend. The Yankees were throwing 3 lefties. The Red Sox were not playing Meyer. They weren't playing Roman Anthony all 3 of those games. In fact, they didn't start the last 2 of them. At least Anthony didn't. They have to think that this 20-year-old who broke into the big leagues 5 days ago is going to be Barry Bonds.
That's not a reason. That's not a good
No,
reason.
of course it's not a reason.
Like,
but that has to be what they're thinking.
The first
Michael.
thing I thought before you know, you obviously immediately get hit with just like they don't like him. Cora doesn't have a great relationship with him. The stuff that happened earlier in spring training, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But the immediate thought after for me was they obviously just want to tie themselves to this young core because they have that much belief in them that they're actually confident. I don't think it's the right move, but they're actually
No.
that they can move forward with this group, and in 3 or 4 years, Devers is an afterthought.
So my question is this, right? If you're going to do it, I mean, this is obviously not, like, we know how front offices work. We're not in front offices, but we know how they work watching the game at the level that the three of us watch it for the last 2 decades. This did not happen in 3 hours. This was talked about before the game today, before the game yesterday, and probably about a week before that, at the very least. Why do it after? Like, I feel like there's no sense, and I know I keep using this word, there's no sense of optics here.
I think that it was just one of those things that whether they got swept by the Yankees or they swept the Yankees or they won 2 out of 3 or the Yankees won 2 out of 3, the Devers trade was happening tonight because, as you said, it's been happening for weeks. If this trade goes down, this doesn't just happen in a day. So this was going to happen tonight, no matter what, probably, and it just falls after their best weekend in 2 years.
Is this like where a situation where, like the Mavericks with Luka, where they told the Lakers, listen, you cannot say anything about this? Was this kind of one of those situations? Did they shop Devers anywhere else? That's what I want to know, because, and I can't give you teams off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure there were teams that would have listened to, you know, and negotiated deals, even if they weren't taking all of the money. If they were going to have to take all the money, fine. The Giants are willing to. The Giants haven't been able to attract free agents. This is a way to get a big-time player in here. He was available. He was disgruntled. I wonder, and I'm sure we'll find out about this soon, were any other teams offered a chance at bidding on him?
It's interesting because
very interesting.
I don't know. You're right. The Luka trade was something I thought about too right before we started. Obviously, this isn't in the same kind of elk as the Luka trade, but there's a lot that we're going to learn about this in the next few days. However, you know, the return is not great, but on the flip side, I know we're going to talk a lot about the Red Sox angle here, and that's what everyone's going to discuss. This is the perfect bat for San Francisco to finally be able to add after so long. And Mike, I just want to ask you, because and then we'll get back to the Red Sox, but we've spoken about the Giants so many times on this show about, are they contenders? Are they not? I've been a little bit higher on them throughout the season, but neither of us have thought they're contenders. Where does this put them now in the upper echelon of the National League?
Yeah, they're serious contenders to me now. You added that big bat. Logan Webb has been pitching like an ace. Robbie Ray has been very good coming off of the injury. So they may have to go out there and add a starter at the deadline. I don't know what kind of, you know, caliber of starting pitcher they'll need to add, but I'm a starting pitcher, probably a mid-rotation guy. But they add a bat now, guys, where like, hey, like he's the best bat in the lineup. You are scared to pitch to this guy. They did not have this before this trade.
So I got Pete Abraham from Boston Globe. The team's feeling was that the $313.5 million contract comes with responsibilities to do what's right for the team, and that Devers did not live up to those responsibilities. They had enough, and they traded him. Now, where I will side with the Red Sox here is that Rafael Devers did almost everything he could to do wrong by the Red Sox over the last 5 months. There was obvious miscommunication with the Bregman situation. There was obvious miscommunication when Cora and Breslow talked about him as an improving third baseman at the end-of-year press conference last October. But Rafael Devers has ears. He has social media. He's online just like the rest of us. He knows his stats. He knows that his defensive runs saved and all of his defensive metrics are one of, if not the worst in baseball among third basemen. He knew that the Red Sox were in on Alex Bregman. And when they signed him, sure, it might have been a stab in the back, but he knew that this day could happen, right? Of course he does. And from then, all he's been, and listen, this is somebody that is not, before I say this, I'm not saying that I'm agreeing with the Red Sox on this trade. But all he's done is be a baby since. Fine, you don't want to go to DH. That's okay. He did it anyways. He caved, whatever. Maybe that was his relationship with Cora. The first base thing was really the thing that got under my skin. This is not a situation where Tristan Casas, even though he did, had like a 500 OPS and a like on the level of Mendoza batting
performance.
Right. This was not. He blew out his freaking knee.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox needed him in a year that they finally put money on the table and they spent to try to win. And he said no. So there obviously had to have been a breaking point in this offseason where Rafael Devers was completely emotionally done with the Red Sox because nobody saw this coming, of course. We all thought, okay, maybe John Henry flies out to Kansas City. You know, they sort of work things out. They patch things out. It obviously did not happen.
Do you think, I'm just going to cut you off for a second. Do you think in that moment it's possible when they actually had that meeting, because I was just thinking about this as you were talking, that Devers actually told them, like the working it out part of it was Devers saying, I don't want to be here anymore?
That could have been. You know, I find it interesting. I was listening to a podcast the other day. The Red Sox had conversations. They said this on the Nesson postgame show like 2 days ago. That Sam Kennedy went on Nesson and said, we believe Rafael Devers will do what's right for the team when the moment calls for it. He thought that like Rafael Devers was taking ground balls at shortstop over the last shortstop, right? Like everyone thought that was ridiculous. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
I was like,
obviously not playing shortstop. I mean, Trevor Story, one of the best hitters in June 2025. You don't want to mess around with Trevor Story in June 2025. But, I mean, was this more of like the Red Sox saying, hey, look, he can field that? Like now hindsight is 2020 now, right? Like now we can go back and look at all these moments and say, okay, was this sort of the beginning of the end? Like, Kevin, you said with the owner flying out to Kansas City. Like, was this sort of the beginning of the end? And it goes back to the point that I made a couple minutes ago. These things don't happen overnight. We're not in these rooms, but we've seen baseball and we've seen transactions long enough to realize that this has probably been brewing for at least a week. And
it probably has been since Kansas City, when right after he said no to first base and the owner flew out. That has to be it. And you know, from a Red Sox, I mean, I remember getting angry about this from an outsider's perspective, looking at what Devers had to say about everything. And I just saying, if that was my guy, I would be flipping out.
Lindor, right?
Right. Like if they asked Lindor next season to play second base, I have no doubt that Lindor would say, okay, I'm going to get ready to play second base. I mean, you're paying the guy $313 million. If you ask him to change positions, to DH, to do this, he should be okay with it. They're not asking you to cure cancer. It's something you can't do. I mean, try it out. Give it a go. And I get it from the Red Sox standpoint of being so frustrated with the guy. But you look at the return from what we see right now, the 4 players they got back. I mean, you're telling me they couldn't get anything better than this? Like, and you want to trade him, fine. But you better get something back where you're going to be contending this season and beyond.
And
I don't even
tell me, like, first I just want to say this is different because Jack, you brought up all the players that have been traded and you're spot on with that early in the show, but this is also different from Mookie. I think Red Sox fans, and you can tell me for sure, but I think I'm definitely right. Red Sox fans felt a different way about Mookie Betts than Rafael Devers. But you look at the return, you should have gotten something better, but you can't also try and tell me that, oh, well, you couldn't get something better because the Giants are taking on the whole contract. The contract's not that bad because of all the deferrals in the last 10 years from 2034 to 2043. He only makes $27 million a year or $28 million a year for the rest of this contract. So for that is a premium price to be paying. Like, that is an awesome deal for San Francisco.
He's on the verge of his second best season of his career to 2019. He's going to drive in 100 runs by September 1st, and he's going to hit 35 home runs. And just looking at this from a very general perspective, which I like to do, like you have a guy, right? You have a guy that has performed in the postseason. He's the only player left from the 2018 Red Sox, the best team of the century, in my opinion. And
it probably is. It probably
2018.
It is. It's just
is,
a crazy jab in there.
Come
It's a
on.
crazy jab.
Like, just trying to sneak that one in. Come on. Keep going.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still like I'm still trying to process like words.
This is insane. This is I hate to always do this because I do like I do this a lot with Mike on the show too, where I just go to like the end of the road instead of talking about the small picture right now. I talk about the big
He's
picture.
going into the Hall of Fame as a Giant.
But well, he probably is. But also, how compared to past trades, I'd have to look through it. I've not looked through it in the last 30 minutes. Is this the biggest June 15th or prior trade in Major League Baseball history? I don't think there's ever been one, because this wouldn't even happen at the deadline, let alone in June 15th.
So
could you imagine? Hold on. Could you imagine if there was a bid, like if this became sort of public, maybe not public, but like, you know, teams knew he was available and nobody was really talking about it. Like and I'm going back to the return for a second. At the deadline for a team desperate, what they could have gotten.
Yeah, like Rafael Devers, with all due respect, like must have gone in with like death threats to the players on the team to have traded him on June 15th. Like, you're 6 weeks. Can you imagine the price that I'm not even saying this with whether or not they have a third baseman or a DH, and I'm just throwing teams out. The Detroit Tigers, right? What the price they would have paid for him at the deadline was. The Giants, then I'm sure you get more at the deadline with the Giants. What other teams? The Chicago Cubs. Think about all these teams with a boatload of young talent that you could have gotten. You get Jordan Hicks and Kyle Harris. I'm like, Kyle Harris is a really good left-handed pitcher. Not like you have any of those good left-handed pitchers. Not like you have any of those. This is absolutely, without a doubt, to my memory, the biggest early season trade in modern baseball history. I mean, maybe of our lifetimes.
But
I mean,
even at the deadline, this stacks up with the Soto trade to San Diego. It stacks up with the Scherzer Trey Turner trade. That one might be a little bigger, but because it was a 2-player deal going the other way. But this is right there with all of those, because you consider the contract. And how about, telling somebody that in year 3 of a 10-year, $313 million contract, Rafael Devers would be traded?
It would
And
have
it's
been similar.
not because of his performance. As you said, he's having the second best year of his career.
Second best year of his career. He's gonna drive on 120 runs and hit 35 home runs, and he probably would have hit at least 4 more against the Yankees. And mind you, I know the rivalry's not what it was anymore. I just this is like, you know what I said to my parents before I got on here? I said, I just can't have nice things. Like, I was so happy to see them win Friday. I was like, okay, that's great. They're going to take 1 out of 3. That's awesome. They win last night. That Austin Wells hit 9 out of 10 times is off the wall. And then today, Brian Bayo, for the first time in ever, shoves with the sun out. Check his daylight
I've seen
ERA.
Crazy.
He's like a vampire. 7 innings, 114 pitches, 8 strikeouts, 2 hits, no runs. And then let's just trade Rafael Devers. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Trade Rafael Devers after the best weekend of the year. I'm like, okay, we finally got some freaking momentum. We're gonna do this thing. I wanted to watch the rest of the U.S. Open, and then I have to click on ESPN and watch Carl Ravitch talk about the Red Sox trading their best player again. For the second time in my life, they've traded their best player when there's no reason you had to. I get this. I'll tell you one thing right now. I'll make a statement right now. The Mookie Betts trade made more sense than this. Not the return. The prospect of trading Mookie Betts makes more sense than this right here.
I don't think so. I mean, it's disgruntled player that is pissed off at the team, and the team is pissed off at him.
Okay. And I'm not trying to get into like the economics of COVID and everything, but the Red Sox wanted to decline their spending, right? And they, like, you could talk about, like, like I said, I'm not going to get into COVID, but
awful decision making. Yes,
sure. What they got for that was terrible. Connor Wong, Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs, who had his first career home run against Garrett Cole. But
dude, you know how pumped Garrett Cole is right now, even though he's not.
Oh my God,
Garrett Cole is the biggest winner of this entire.
Yeah, he's pumped until October when the Yankees win the pennant and they see the Giants on the other side, and then I guess he's not. I guess he's not coming back. But, yeah, no, listen.
Devers was the Yankees Red Sox rivalry.
You have to understand
rivalry for the last 2 years.
You have to understand that is important. Like, little brother, hand up, little brother. And Michael, you are a little brother too. So hand up. You just got swept by the Rays. Hand up.
We're all putting our hands down. We're all putting our hands down.
Go.
Listen. There is a certain level of hatred that is left in the Red Sox. It's not much, right? I love Aaron Judge. I think he's awesome. Like, he's so fun to watch. If my dad grew up, like, in the 90s, if Aaron Judge was a guy, I would have wanted to throw something at him if I was at Fenway, right? But I love him now. Like, there's nothing to hate about him. He's a great guy. And he nukes homers, like, every night. Rafi Devers was that one guy that Yankees fans could, like, hate, right? Like, Cole, I hate Garrett Cole. Like, I don't like Rodon. I don't like, Volpe. I just have like a weird hatred against Volpe.
You hate Volpe. You
don't
like him.
Volpe E6. Volpe E6. Rafi was that guy, right? And like the rivalry also lost today. Like it lost. Like whatever is left, like it's flaming out, obviously, but those little ashes that are burning up, most of it burned up today.
Yeah, they also burned up when the Red Sox wore green and yellow uniforms the first 2 days of the weekend.
You're so wrong about that. It's not even funny.
The yellow is awful. The yellow needs to be burned somewhere. The yellow is a disgrace to baseball. The green,
you need to learn history, bro. You need to learn history.
I don't care. Burn the yellow jerseys, please. Burn them.
You don't care about the Boston Marathon? Is that what you're saying?
Back on the Devers.
That's what it's about, Michael.
I don't care. They're not yellow. The Red Sox
back on the Devers topic, Mike. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago, but I had said that I'd said it either on here or on Bunker, but I said they're gonna have to.
Nobody knows what that is.
Yeah, everybody knows what that is. They're gonna have to come to a decision in the next year or two between Cora and Devers. And I wonder if this had anything. Obviously,
I obviously wasn't watching. Can you please? What do you mean, Cora or Devers? You mean like one of them?
They're going to have to choose between Alex Cora or Rafael Devers.
Oh no! And
I
think Kevin.
Wait. I thought in the next year or two they were going to have to get to that point because I did not think that relationship was going well.
You don't think that relationship was going well?
Among millions of other relationships that were going
You're
worse,
wrong.
I thought the team was going to get to a point where if they missed the playoffs again this year and maybe next year, they were going to have to make a decision between Devers and Cora.
Let me ask you a question.
If that relationship getting worse.
All right, let me ask you a question. Forget tonight, right? Yesterday, 24 hours ago. If Alex Cora has to push either Craig Breslow or Rafael Devers off a cliff, who's he pushing off?
Oh, Breslow, but the ownership is going to keep Breslow.
No. The ownership is tied to Cora. Cora is at their hip. And Cora might not love Sam Kennedy and John Henry, all those guys, because of what they've done in the past. But I think like you just need to look at the revolving door that is the Red Sox general manager position, right? Cora was safe always, 100% always. Like he was never going anywhere. This was not a decision between Cora and Devers. I can tell you that with almost 100% certainty.
I don't think it was at this juncture. I think it would.
But it never was going to be.
No, I think it was going to be.
Kevin,
We can agree to
Kevin.
disagree. You can tell me all the stuff about the Red Sox.
I can tell you that Cora didn't want to tell. Cora literally was asked by media in Kansas City, is Rafi going to play first base? He said that's a question for higher management. I'm not verbatim. It's not verbatim. But he basically shrugged off the question and said, I'm not answering that. Basically, I've already had to tell him to do enough. It's Breslow's job to do it now.
Yeah, so you don't think
Cora wanted to
that
save
represents any sort of strain that Devers and Cora's relationship puts on higher management?
Say that one more time.
I think that perfectly represents the strain that the relationship that the two of them had puts on higher management. And if
I think
the decision was for the front office, which you're right, it's a revolving door in the GM chair. Cora possibly has the most power there. It's definitely
most power by far.
But if there was a decision from Craig Breslow or an influence from Craig Breslow that said we have to separate these two guys, and they had to pick one, I think that could have been a possibility in a year or two. Not right now. I don't think that has to do with this trade.
You know what John Henry would have said, or Sam Kennedy? Sam Kennedy makes most. You know what he would have said to that? Craig Breslow, your office is clean. It was always, and listen,
maybe I should stay anyways.
But this should be a Cora decision. Like this should be if Cora wants him to play. And I understand the front office,
right?
Is more
which is confusing, Mike.
But Alex Cora is one of the best managers in baseball. Like this is, and he's a player's manager, by the way. This is an Alex Cora decision. If he wants him to try out at first, he should. And when he tells him no, now he's got to go to the front office, and he doesn't want to go to the front office.
Can I ask you a question?
Telling me that Cora has more pull in that building than Breslow? Then
yes,
I think it's a perfect representation of the issue at hand.
You think? Okay, hold on. So if Breslow says has a voice, he just doesn't have a big voice. If Breslow says we need Rafi to go play first, and we're gonna ask you, Cora, to go tell him to play first because you're buddies with him, which is a known thing that I think this is you guys would understand. They are, like you guys just said, he's a player's manager. They are buddies.
Yeah, but I actually see from the outside that is not how it's looked the last 4 months.
It hasn't.
It has not looked like that at all the last 4 months with Devers and
Cora.
It seems that relationship is soured.
I think that it's soured with the Bregman situation because Alex Cora was gushing about Bregman at the winter, the Fenway, Fenway Fest. And he was like, oh, we need a right-handed hitter that can play the monster. Oh, well, I guess
Fenway Fest, dude. And I thought City Field was an amusement park. Fenway Fest. God.
Unbelievable. Yeah. 1/3 Yankees fans this weekend. Really nice. Anyways, so Cora was gushing about Bregman. Cora loves Bregman, back to his cheating days with the Astros, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he wanted him on the team. But here's the thing, like, Devers, this is so immature and childish. If you think about it from any perspective, Cora was saying all these things, and he's obviously slighting his player, right? Maybe not intentionally, but he is slighting his best player, right? Okay, so Bregman gets signed. Now they want him to go play DH. Well, Breslow tells Cora, you have to go tell him to play or go play DH, not first base, DH. And Cora does that to some pushback, and then the whole thing blows over. He starts hitting again. Everything is well, right? If the team is going well, then so is the situation, right? Winning cures all.
But it was mishandled from the jump.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Walked into camp, it was completely mishandled.
Of course it was. And I think while the Red Sox have some blame here, go back to what I said a moment ago. Rafael Devers is not deaf. He's not offline. He's obviously seeing that the Red Sox are in on Bregman from his reports down in the Dominican, wherever he spent his offseason. And the reports all over Major League Baseball that the Red Sox, I remember in January, why haven't they signed him yet? It's like the Tigers and the Red Sox. He obviously did not want to play in Detroit. Just sign him. It was a very clear-cut call that the Red Sox were going to sign Bregman. And once they finally forked over the money for him, everyone, like, how is that a shock? How is that a shock?
But he was going, like, I don't think it was as easy as you're putting it. I mean, he was going to Detroit. Like, he was ready to go to Detroit.
No.
He was ready to go to Detroit.
He was never going to Detroit.
He was
never
going to sign with
Detroit offered him more money. He went to Fenway. Detroit offered him more money.
This deal is much better, no matter, even if it was long
term.
With Detroit,
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
Deal is much better.
So the Red Sox play the Giants on Friday?
Yes.
In San Fran?
Yeah.
That's great. Also, not to totally just change the direction of your conversation, which was a good
one.
What,
that Hunter Dobbins shoved against your team again last night?
How about the irony of Devers getting traded to a team with a better defensive third baseman than Alex Bregman? Like one of the few guys that's even better.
They should play a practical joke and ask him to play first base when he walks.
He's probably never going to play the field again.
Why shouldn't he play first base though? Like, why should if they asked him, hey, like, and I'm sure they're not going to ask him this. It's a sore subject, but should he play first?
He should.
Yeah, he should.
Play
now,
first?
This is one of those situations, though, that I think if he was asked by San Fran, he'd say yes. I think he was so pissed about the Bregman signing, which was ridiculous, that he said no despite the Red Sox. And now to further spite them, even though it makes him look even more immature and childish, he would play if they asked him to play.
This is what I'll tell you right now, right? The Red Sox got better by signing Alex Bregman, right? Do we all agree?
Yes.
Okay. Baseline, they got better. If Rafael Devers' best interest, and listen, I'm a Rafi guy, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If Rafi's best interests were to win and to be part of a team and to just hit homers, like everyone's seen that audio, they pay me well and I hit homers. That's all. If that's all he cared about, and fine, like I get it, it's a respect thing. It's like you don't want to be taken off the field because they say you suck, right? No one wants to say that. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to live that. But if his best interest was winning, he would have done what the team wanted him to do without public verbal frustration. And that's it. Like, listen, the Red Sox did another terrible thing today. They alienated their fan base even further. But do I totally disagree with the move? No. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with part of it. Like, again, I think there were ways to go about this. If you want to move off him, it's a tough sell to the fan base. But if you're getting something in return that I think is acceptable to the people around baseball and the fan base, fine. It's still a tough sell. And I get they're frustrated. But is this not an off-season trade, guys? Like, is this not
for them to do this on June 15th?
Well, listen. Let's take the Red Sox word in this with some value. Okay? It's not worth anything, but we should take it with some value. If this happened on June 15th, after the Red Sox just swept the Yankees and went 5-1 against the Yankees and won their 5th straight and are now a half game out of the wild card, the relationship had to have soured so much that they could not have bared getting on that flight to Seattle with him. That had to be it.
They must have been rooting for the Yankees so hard this weekend.
It's like, Dobbins has to... Can't we just have another New York Post article about Dobbins and Andy Pettitte? Can't we just have another one of those?
Is there possibly an under-the-table deal here of, hey, if you let us sweep you, we will trade Devers?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like... Well, I don't know.
The Mavericks got flagged when they traded Luka.
I think, Kevin, I think that's just you. I think that's just you coping for your piss poor offense.
No, they're great offense. That
Ben
makes
Rice,
sense.
number 2 hitter, not gonna survive in
But
October.
seriously, if the Yankees swept them this weekend, right? If the Yankees swept the Sox,
I would feel better about the trade.
you would feel slightly better.
So much better about
They
the
would
trade.
be 34-39. They'd be 9.5 games back. You'd be like, okay, Bregman's hurt. We're not here. We're not here yet. Give us another offseason. I have to say this. They have to be like the favorites now to go out and sign Kyle Tucker. No, I mean, like, you offload $300 million. You need a big move now this offseason, and that'll be a topic of conversation. You need that other move now to go replicate that.
It's so funny because all offseason they said we need to get rid of a left-hander and we need to get rid of an outfielder, right? Because they have such a log jam in the outfield. They have Cedar Rafaela, who is metrically the, I would say, second best outfielder in baseball. And Jarren Duran, don't give me that look, Kevin. Jarren Duran, who for his struggles this year is still a 300 on base guy-ish. And if he's hitting against the righty, is dominant. Lefty, forget it. But then you have Willie Abreu, who has shown flashes of being one of the best players in baseball. I'm not saying he is, in right field. And you have the number 1 prospect, who they obviously, as I mentioned before, view as like Barry Bonds, right? Okay, so you have 4 outfielders. You have nothing to do with them, right? Okay. You have to trade a left-handed bat. They should have done it this offseason. They tried to trade Tristan Casas. Nobody wanted him because he stinks, okay? Because he stinks. He does not, like, they overvalued his value tenfold. They thought they could get Luis Castillo for him. And the Mariners laughed in their face, even though they have they have so much pitching. Okay. I'm trying to get all my thoughts here together.
There's a lot going on.
They needed to trade a lefty. I think if you asked anybody, even after the Bregman signing and all the Devers drama, where Devers was on that list of lefties they need to trade, which everyone sort of agreed that they needed to trade at least one. He's behind Duran, definitely. He's because of the Padres reports. He's behind Abreu. He's behind Rafaela. He might have even been behind, I don't know, like with Tristan Casas, or like maybe even one of the prospects. Like, this is Rafi Devers.
Like, when I saw the rumors that the Padres would be interested in trading for Duran, like, I kind of like laughed at that. You know, like, the Red Sox aren't going to trade Jared. I mean, come on, they're not going to trade Duran. And
they would never trade someone of that much value to their team. No,
I remember joking around with you like a month ago when they asked him to play first and he said no. And I remember joking around with you saying, like, how about Vientos and Beatty and like McNeil and a pitcher for Devers right now? And something like that, like, drew up this trade. And you were like, no. How about now? Would you do that trade over this one?
What was it again?
Vientos,
I was not listening to you at all.
McNeil, Vientos, Beatty, and then like
Vientos, yeah, give it to me all the time.
I see, and I'm saying no to this deal right now with the way McNeil's played and then a pitching prospect.
He's got 900 OPS.
I'm not giving you anything. I'd rather McNeil. I'm not doing this.
I got another report to add to the pool here, guys, and I am gonna go pretty soon. But
yeah, we're gonna wrap this up in a second.
Castillo, Chris Castillo, Mass Live. Rafael Devers did not request a trade.
Okay, so there you go. Last thought I have on this that I just want to get your ideas with, and then we'll close it out, is one, my sentiment is that I don't think the clubhouse gets down on the team and where they're at because he sold off. I don't think this is one of those moves where the morale is gone, but I could see the Red Sox front office going in either of two directions the rest of the season, either being minor sellers or minor buyers at the deadline, because there is a mindset of, well, our entire future is wrapped up now with guys who are 25 and under and guys who project to be studs. You already have the stud ace pitcher in that group. So just real quick from each of you guys, Is there deadline action from the Sox? Say they're within 2.5, 3 games of the wild card at the deadline because of this expanded playoff. So many teams are still in it. Do you think that they maybe get rid of another guy or two and load up for a Kyle Tucker in the offseason, free up all the space they can, and try and get as many young assets as possible? Or do they go in the other direction and say, we have this young group, we want to show them we're looking to compete every year and do some minor buying at the deadline?
I mean, I'll answer this first because I have a question for you then, Jack. Like, who else would they sell in terms of veteran pieces? Like, you're going to sell off Chapman, obviously, if that was the direction you're going to go in, and you'll get something back for Chapman. You're not really going to sell anything on the pitching staff, right? What other positions offensively are you going to sell off would be my question, because I don't really think they have any other option besides playing this out, getting Bregman back, and just playing your best ball throughout the rest of the season and hoping something happens and build momentum for next season.
Well, I just wanted to say something on the morale standpoint that Kevin said, and I'll answer your question, Mike. There are multiple reports that multiple players of high stature, I mean, you could probably guess who they are, Crochet, Bregman, all those guys, were not happy with Devers. It has to be part of it, right? Like those reports have to be true at this point. To answer your question, Mike, it's definitely Chapman. Even for his 5 ERA this year, Walker Buehler is still a big game October pitcher. Kevin knows that more than anybody. There are a couple arms. Justin Wilson has been a terrific left-handed arm in the bullpen this year. I mean, other than that, I mean, I guess you could consider Jarren Duran to be one. Here's another one. I mean, like, let's just throw it out because everything's on the table at this point. Alex Bregman's basically on a 1-year deal at this point because he can opt out if he wants to.
I think he's opting in, though. I mean, he'd have to go crazy. I mean,
he would have to go crazy, but he would have to go. Sure. Yeah, he would have to, but who knows? He might. Like what? All right. So if he opts out, right? Just put it under the umbrella. Like, I think he's opting out, and I could be totally off on this, but I do think if he comes back before the All-Star break and he puts up the numbers that he did pre-injury, I think he opts out because I think those numbers back it up.
I also, just to interject, think he could opt out and sign a longer deal with the Red Sox for a couple more million.
Okay. So why couldn't a team roll the dice and say, I think we're going to trade for Bregman and we're going to get him to that long-term deal?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another piece that's a little bit more far-fetched, right?
Or you pull the Chapman with the Yankees and you trade him and then bring him back.
You could do that too.
He opts out.
But I mean, that's once again, that's very far-fetched. Like, I think the whole Bregman
scenario, yeah.
That's a
I think the whole Bregman trade thing is far-fetched. But who knows what's far-fetched at this point? Yeah. They have lefty arms out of the bullpen that they can trade. Walker Buehler would absolutely interest teams based on his October resume. But at this point, I don't know what they're going to do. Like, it's been happening too quick to process, and there's no precedent for this situation. There's no like, okay, well, we've seen this before in terms of this exact situation, so we know what they're going to do. They're 37-36. They're going to walk into Seattle tomorrow, a half game out of the wild card. They're absolutely able to make the playoffs this year. If they miss the playoffs, it would be the longest drought in franchise history without making the playoffs at 4 years. I mean, we all have talked about the optics. They obviously don't care about them, but they're trying to make the playoffs. They sold this season on making the playoffs. If they now trade their best player and then go into complete sell mode after a 5-game winning streak and a sweep at Fenway Park against the Yankees, it's going to make a lot of Red Sox fans, like the Mookie Betts and the Xander Bogaerts and all the terrible baseball that we've seen over the last 4 years. This is going to really push people to a breaking point, and I don't know how they'll recover. Listen, I will always be 162 games a year plus, but I don't understand how you sell this team to your fans after you continue to bone them 24/7. I just don't understand it.
Can I read this tweet here? This is for Kevin. Bill Simmons, 2022, 12:47 a.m. Can't wait for the Rafael Devers for a 5 prospects trade. That's next. Let's keep cutting those costs for 2024 so you can sell the Red Sox and redirect the money for the Vegas NBA expansion team with LeBron. Yeah,
Bill
was
Simmons,
right
man.
He's the man. I can't wait to
Right
listen to his
again.
pod when he talks about this.
I'll tell you one thing. No free ads. Section 10 is going to be an absolute listen tomorrow.
Yeah, why
An
you even come on? Why you even
Come on,
free?
dude. Come on.
We don't.
An
This is where
absolute
we're gonna
listen
end it.
tomorrow.
This was must listen.
This was must listen, and we appreciate everybody.
You
who joined tonight.
just said the Bill Simmons show, man.
Totally different.
I
Friend
just-
of the show. Totally
Yeah, because
different.
because a lot of Kevin, because a lot of listeners of the shows could be like, oh yeah, Bill Simmons has a podcast. Let's go check that out.
Yeah,
There's a lot
everyone
of-
is already listening to it, so nobody's going to do that. because
No,
we're all
nobody's gonna watch it in general.
we're
Nobody's
all
gonna.
already. Simmons and Russillo talking about this is
All
gonna
right.
be a peak podcast.
Can I, Kevin, you're gonna like this one. Can I put one more free ad in?
Yes.
Felger and Maz, absolute listen tomorrow.
I will be
Absolute listen.
locked in tomorrow.
Absolute listen.
I'll be
That's
locked
Oh
in tomorrow.
my God,
Must hear. All
gentlemen,
right.
gentlemen, thanks you so much for having me on. All right, I
Hey,
gotta
Jack,
go.
We appreciate
right, guys.
you joining us, man. We appreciate you jumping on once again. Jack Lydon, huge Red Sox fan, and that'll do it for us here. Episode 56 of the Burrows. A little bit of a surprise. I still can't believe that this just happened, but we'll be back on Tuesday morning talking Yankees Mets. Brutal weekends for both teams. Man.
Terrible. Thank
I mean,
God we're not
Yankees-
talking about that.
Yankees are back, but
You gotta
bad
win.
weekend.
You gotta win here.
Bad weekend. We got to win here. All right. We thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Make sure to check out everything BTO Media. Check out the playbook with Gabe Zoda, No Good Takes, Giuseppe Oliveri, and some new content coming soon to the hard line. So stay tuned for everything. We appreciate you joining us. Go Yanks.